Scientists and archaeologists have one thing in common: what they don't understand. They often write off, call it caution or bias. But when something doesn't make sense to them, it's just quickly dismissed as a hoax or misinterpretation. And while we get why they do that, the truth is, some of these puzzling discoveries are anything but fake. They're real, they're ancient, and they're still wrapped in mystery. And today we're looking at 15 of the most baffling ones ever unearthed. Number 15. The figurines of Yik Pabango. In 2013, archaeologists introduced the world to a peculiar set of terracotta figurines from the village of Yik Pabango in Ghana. Unearthed from a pair of mound structures, these artifacts are believed to be up to 1,400 years old. Each figure is unlike the next. One sports a crocodile head, another a chameleon, and one even has two human heads. Some show signs of deformities, which modern medical researchers recognize as congenital disorders and are still seen in the region today. These odd features led experts to suggest they may have played a role in spiritual healing or ancestral worship. Hidden channels inside the figurines imply they were used in rituals involving liquid offerings, likely poured in during ceremonies. Whether they served as vessels of hope or tools of protection, no one can say for sure. What's clear is they weren't casual decorations. They were part of a deeper system of belief, symbols of a community's connection to unseen forces, and perhaps to their own understanding of illness and survival. Number 14. Cambrian seaworm mystery. When a fossilized seaworm was first unearthed in Utah back in 1969, scientists were thrown off by its strange features: rigid plates, missing body parts, and anatomy that just didn't match up. Confused and unsure, they hastily filed it under the genus Paleoscolex and left it at that. For 5 decades it stayed mislabeled until a second, nearly identical fossil surfaced in another part of Utah, buried inside a 56-million-year-old geological unit. This new specimen got the attention of researchers at the University of Kansas Biodiversity Institute. With fresher eyes and better tools, they confirmed it wasn't a known species at all. It was something entirely new. This seaworm had been hiding in plain sight, misidentified for years. It lived during a time when Utah was submerged beneath a vast ocean, hinting at how much remains unrecognized in museum drawers and scientific archives. How many other known species might be misfiled and misunderstood, quietly waiting for their moment to rewrite the fossil record? Well, a lot. Number 13. The astronaut of Caseras. In Caseras, Spain, there's a carved granite stone that sparks more theories than answers. Here in this place, locals call it the astronaut of Caseras because of its odd humanoid figure with a disproportionately large head. The stone once sat unnoticed in a cemetery wall, just part of the scenery, until its unique features raised eyebrows. Beside the carving is an inscription that to this day remains untranslatable. The lettering is a messy fusion of Indo-European and Latin characters, which only deepens the confusion. Some think it's a Celtiberian warrior from 2,200 years ago. Others lean into the extraterrestrial angle, calling it a depiction of a time traveler or alien being. Local superstitions have long surrounded the object. Passers-by cross themselves without knowing why. If only we could crack the code on that inscription, we might finally understand its meaning. But until then, this granite enigma stands as a silent challenge to historians, a riddle carved in stone with no clear answer. But let's be real, why does every ancient civilization mention alien stuff? Well, we don't know, but it's not just a coincidence. Number 12. The Larabanga Mystic Stone. In the small town of Larabanga, there's a stone that refuses to be moved, or so local legend says. Back in the 1950s, during British colonial rule, authorities planned a road through the area. The mystic stone stood in the way, so construction crews shifted it. The next morning it had returned. They moved it again, but again they found the same result. After a third attempt, they gave up and rerouted the road, creating a sharp bend around the boulder. While official records don't acknowledge the strange events, the road's odd path remains. Oral histories trace the stone's significance back to the 17th century during the reign of Nudarura Yakpa, leader of the Ganja people. Even then, the stone was considered ancient. Some believe it's tied to sacred powers or spirits that protect the town. Whatever the truth, the community treats it with deep respect. Whether rooted in myth or something else entirely, the Larabanga stone stands as one of Ghana's most curious and enduring mysteries, and no scientist can explain the how and why. Number 11. Roland Septs' sword, in Rocamadour. Legend tells of Roland, a heroic warrior from the time of Charlemagne, who wielded a sword named Durandal, so powerful it could cut through stone. Today, that very sword might still be embedded in a cliff above the chapel of Notre Dame in Rocamadour, France. Whether it truly belonged to Roland is a matter of debate, but the weapon has been lodged there for centuries, weathered, ancient, and consistent with 8th century blade design. French lore says Roland received Durandal from Charlemagne himself, while Italian stories claim it was passed down from Hector of Troy. Despite the myths, one fact remains: the sword hasn't budged, and no one is allowed to test or remove it. The chapel protects it like a sacred relic, a blend of faith and folklore frozen in iron. Even if it's not the legendary blade of medieval epics, its presence continues to stir the imagination. After all, some relics don't need verification. They hold power simply because people believe they do. But is this sword actually real? Well, we just don't know. Number 10. Sweden Septs Bronze Age Mystery Holes. At first glance, when you look at them, they're just holes in the ground, until you realize there are over 80 of them, all clustered in a patch of land near Varberg, Sweden. Unearthed in 2017, these pits date back to the Bronze and Iron Ages and were likely used for large-scale feasting. The technique was smart. Hot stones would be dropped into the dugout holes, then topped with layers of grass or soil to trap heat and slow-cook the meat. It was far more efficient than open-fire roasting. What's puzzling, though, is the absence of any settlement nearby. No pottery shards, no tools, no burial sites. Just these heat-scorched pits. So, who were the people who traveled all the way here just to cook and feast? Were these seasonal gatherings, sacred rituals, or something else entirely? The holes still carry the scent of ancient gatherings, but the identity of those who used them, and why they chose this desolate spot, remains unknown. Number 9. Mech reliefs. In August 2022, archaeologists working near the Usumacinta River in Tennessee unearthed 2 large limestone reliefs believed to date back almost 2,900 years. Each relief, about 5 feet wide, depicts an Olmec ruler in a contorted posture, thought to induce a trance-like state. The Olmecs believed such states allowed spiritual contact with divine forces. These ritual poses weren't just for ceremony, they were a form of sacred communication. The figures wear mirrored diadems marked with Olmec crosses at the center, adding to their religious significance. Experts are cautious about assigning a precise age, but this region served as a key Olmec population hub during their formative period. Some historians even suggest Maya influence in the artistic style, though that's still debated. What's clear is the rarity and cultural weight of the discovery. Reliefs of this size and detail don't turn up often, and when they do, they give us a better glimpse into the spiritual world of Mesoamerica's earliest civilizations. Number 8. Carved stones of Orcne. In late 2019, during routine groundwork near Finnstown in the Orkney Islands, archaeologists made a striking find: 9 carved stones estimated to be around 4,000 years old. Each had been shaped into a head and shoulders form, unlike anything else found in the region. While their purpose remains uncertain, some believe they may have functioned as architectural elements, possibly securing roof beams to early structures. The site included what looked like a central hearth and several small stone boxes. Though they resembled coffins, none contained human remains. Nearby trenches revealed long, straight cuts in the clay, likely made by ards, a primitive plowing tool. That detail confirms early farming on Orkney, dating back to prehistoric times. These stones weren't just scattered remnants, they were part of a complex domestic setting that hints at a much older presence in the region than previously believed. Their shape, their placement, and the markings around them suggest intention. What can you say about their makers? Number 7. The swan-shaped pot. During construction in Henan province, workers, when doing their daily boring job, came across an undisturbed tomb that led to a remarkable discovery, a bronze swan-shaped vessel containing an unknown yellowish-brown liquid. The pot, over 2,000 years old, stood out not only for its elegant animal form, but also for the mystery sealed within it. Alongside the pot were a bronze helmet, an iron sword, and a ceremonial jade blade, items that likely belonged to a soldier or high-ranking warrior. What's unusual is that no other bronze pot of this shape has ever been found in that region. Even more puzzling is the fluid itself. Around 3,000 milliliters remain intact, filled with suspended particles and impurities, yet still liquid after centuries underground. Some believe it could be ancient wine, others hope it's tied to long-lost medicinal knowledge, perhaps even a version of the legendary elixir of life. For now, its contents remain unclassified, and the vessel remains sealed, preserving a question that has no clear answer yet. Number 6. The Codex Seldon. When European powers swept through the Americas, they left few original manuscripts intact. Of the handful that survived, Codex Seldon is one of the most studied, made around 1560. It was long believed to be fully understood until 2016 changed that. Researchers using advanced imaging revealed hidden pages concealed under layers of chalk and plaster at the manuscript's back. These pages contain scenes that defy easy explanation, even for scholars who've spent decades decoding Mixtec iconography. One image shows a lady seemingly seated in the king's council, an unusual depiction of the period. Another features a mysterious glyph, a twisted cord paired with a flint knife, a symbol never seen in any other surviving Mixtec manuscript. Since these scenes were intentionally covered, some believe they may have documented restricted or sacred knowledge. Yet their exact purpose, meaning, or context is still unknown. Whatever secrets those pages hold, they've added another layer of mystery to one of Mesoamerica's most important cultural relics. Number 5. The elongated skulls. In 2019, archaeologists working in Croatia uncovered 3 human skeletons with drastically elongated skulls. The bones were buried together, and each skull had been purposefully reshaped during early childhood. This wasn't an accident, or the result of injury. These people belonged to a culture that practiced cranial deformation, an ancient global tradition that leaves behind more questions than answers. Some skulls were wrapped tightly, others compressed with boards, shaping them into pointed or flattened forms. It wasn't limited to one region. Variants of the practice have been recorded across Asia, Europe, Africa, and the Americas, dating as far back as 12,000 years. The reasons, still unclear. Maybe it denoted social status. Maybe it linked people to spiritual beliefs, elite bloodlines, or tribal identity. No matter the intent, the results were unmistakable. These weren't birth defects or natural growth. They were intentional transformations, etched into bone, and every time another one is found, it reopens the same ancient mystery. Who started it, and what were they trying to become? Number 4. Swinton Druid Septs Temple. In North Yorkshire, England, there's a curious stone circle known as the Swinton Druids Temple. With its eerie symmetry and ancient vibe, it's easy to mistake it for a prehistoric monument. But the reality is far more recent and bizarre. It was commissioned just 200 years ago by William Danby, a wealthy landowner who wanted to fight local unemployment in his own eccentric way. He hired locals to build the site, not as a religious center, but simply to give them work. Once complete, he offered a cash prize to anyone willing to live inside the temple alone for 7 years. Only one man tried, and he lasted just over 4 before leaving. Despite its modern origins, the site now draws spiritual groups and summer solstice pilgrims who treat it like something far more ancient. Danby may not have been a mystic, but his odd pet project turned into a legacy. Whether built for charity, boredom, or ego, it still stands weathered and strangely revered. Number 3. Lokis Buckle, found in Denmark. Loki is no stranger to Norse mythology, or should we say the Avengers, but finding his likeness on a belt buckle far from his usual homeland was a surprise, and it was a very big one. The small bronze piece was dug up by an amateur metal detectorist in Ager, Denmark, miles away from where most Loki-related artifacts have ever been found. The buckle is thought to be about 1,000 years old, showing what appears to be a winged figure. Experts aren't fully convinced it's Loki. Some suggest it might be a depiction of Freya or a bird-like mythological spirit. Usually, such designs are found only in Sweden's Uppåkra region, making its presence in Denmark both unusual and intriguing. Whoever wore this buckle wasn't just expressing style, they were making a spiritual statement. Loki, after all, is associated with mischief and eternal youth, an unpredictable god for an unpredictable time. Whether this buckle symbolized protection, power, or simply personal identity, it carried meaning for its wearer and still carries mystery for us. Number 2. The hooded ones of ancient Europe. Scattered across Europe, carved into rock and stone, are mysterious figures, silent, nameless, and unclaimed by any known culture. Archaeologists gave them the name Genius Cucullatus, Latin for hooded one, because they had no better explanation. Found in Britain, France, and Germany, they always appear alone or in threes, never in pairs, and never in larger groups. What they represent is still debated. Some think they were spiritual guardians, others argue they symbolized fertility, purification rituals, or even death itself. One of the most notable examples rests along Hadrian's Wall in the UK, watching over the ancient frontier. The carvings are simple, but their presence is unnerving, featureless faces cloaked in anonymity. The Celts may have created them, but there's no real proof. Maybe they were placed near water sources to attract blessings. Maybe they were warnings, or maybe they're just remnants of a forgotten belief system. Their meaning remains locked in stone, but they continue to haunt the landscape with quiet purpose. Number 1. The ancient tridents. Massive wooden tridents over 6 feet long have emerged from the wetlands of England, first in the 1800s, then again in 2009. Each artifact is roughly 6,000 years old and carved with a precision that defies its mysterious purpose. They end in 3-pronged forks, like tools made for giants, yet none of the obvious explanations quite hold up. They're too bulky and blunt for fishing, too strangely designed for construction, and too rare to be simple ritual props. Only 2 pairs have ever been found. If they were common items, we'd expect more. That scarcity only adds to the puzzle. Some think they were ceremonial symbols, maybe tied to ancient rites or tribal gatherings. Others suggest they might have had a specific seasonal use, now lost to time. Whatever the case, these tridents weren't casual creations. Someone shaped them with intent, and today they stand as mute reminders of a purpose we've yet to recover, carved from wood soaked in time and wrapped in silence. If you've enjoyed watching this video, be sure to like it, share it, and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.